cement and concrete researchers in Nigeria. I've been asked to moderate this event. This is the 5th edition of our Concrete Matters webinar series. Thank you, President of Screen, Dr. Olonade, for the opportunity. Well, for those who are just joining us or for the first time, Screen is the umbrella body for researchers in cement and concrete in Nigeria, and is a rallying point for advancing research and the practice of cement and concrete and allied materials. So today is the 5th, as I said, in the series, and the topic is transition of the construction industry towards a circular economy through industrial symbiosis. Is going to be taken by Dr. Saeed Ahmad Farhan Al-Qudsi. Apologies if I have murdered any of the names. He's going to be presenting on the topic that I just mentioned. We've got just 1 hour for this webinar series today, and he's going to spend about 30 minutes for the presentation, after which we will have comments and question and answers. Permit me to read down a brief profile of Dr. Farhan. Dr. Farhan has a PhD in civil engineering from University Technology Petronas. He was a research contractor for Project 03 2022A under Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC, Policy Partnership on Science, Technology and Innovation, PPSTI, that aims to develop a conceptual framework that promotes circular economy in the construction industry within the APEC region, using industrial symbiosis. He's an engineering researcher registered under the Board of Engineers Malaysia and a member of the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability, the Institute of Materials Malaysia, and the Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia. Currently, he's the Engineering and Technical Manager of United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Dr. Farhan, who is our speaker for this 5th edition of our Concrete Matters webinar series. Dr. Farhan, if you're ready, you kindly share your screen and get started. Hello? Okay, good.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, yes.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you to Screen. I believe Dr. Olonade, the president or the founder of Screen. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Also, the moderator, Mr. Joseph, you did a very good job of pronouncing my name. It's very accurate, actually, as well as my colleague and my student, Dr. Adiola, I believe, is also present in this session. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, I consider myself a beginner in the aspect of the Nigerian construction industry. So it will be interesting, perhaps later at the end of the session, whatever I'm sharing with you here, which is tailored mainly for the Asia Pacific regions, countries, and I believe Nigeria is not within that group of countries, but it will be interesting for us to exchange not just question and answers, but also perhaps suggestions and counter suggestions so that we can kind of link and have the uh, connection between what I present with what is the current issue going on in Nigeria at the moment. So it will be interesting for me to get some insights from all of you, inclusive of Mr. Joseph, Dr. Olonade, and Dr. Abiola, and so on. So my name is Farhan. I'm currently the technical and engineering manager of NextGen Carbon Solutions. That's my current affiliation. However, I was formerly a research contractor for a project under Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. So in respecting APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation as the funder of that project, using an APEC format for the presentation. And I'll be sharing what I learned from the project, and hopefully we can connect that to what's going on in Nigeria at present. So the title of the talk is Transition of the Construction Industry Towards a Circular Economy Through Industrial Symbiosis. So a little bit about APEC. APEC is a multilateral organization, and it was established in 1989. It's a forum of 21 member economies, and the countries are inclusive of the Southeast Asian countries, Russia, China, Japan, Canada, US, and so on. All these countries surrounding the Pacific Ocean, basically. So it's a forum of these countries, uh, and they work towards a common goal of bringing growth and prosperity to the region. And the forums are more focused on trade and economic cooperation, and also trades in goods and services between APEC economies have more than tripled since the inception because of this continuous forum and discussions. And this is the uh, what APEC tries to obtain or achieve is to identify common approaches to finding solutions. Because as all of you probably already know, because I believe SCREEN is a body of researchers, cement and concrete researchers, some of the, or most of the challenges or barriers to adopting whatever solutions that we find in research is the differences in people of the different regions. You know, things like culture, local, I believe like let's say cement and concrete, maybe local materials, local availability of materials. This is the things that is hindering the adoption of our solutions. So it's important that we understand all these different cultures, because one solution could fit in one country, and it could be that that solution doesn't apply to another country. I give an example. For example, in Japan, in pursuing circular economy, they are very supportive of the concept of uh, reducing the size of our homes, of their homes. Because of their dense population, they are reducing the size of homes. They're living in very tiny spaces because they want to reduce their impact on the environment. For example, that's Japan. But that kind of solution doesn't fit in Malaysia, because in Malaysia, they prioritize having like family homes with big families, a proper home with furniture, with everything in place. So they are not very concerned about the environment in that aspect. So this is what I mean by cultural diversity. So this is quite challenging. It's difficult to address this actually, but um, we can do what we can do. We can have campaigns or courses trying to get people to understand how we can address this. And it includes, APEC includes developing an advanced economies, and it involves around 20,000 representatives from all levels of the government, business, and academia. And it's very consensus driven, meaning there is open room for discussion, and from that discussion, we are very open to finding solutions. It's different to perhaps, for example, United Nations or other intergovernmental organizations. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not able to name all of them, but I know that some of these big intergovernmental organizations, the way they discuss and the power between the countries are different. But for APEC, it's consensus-driven, voluntary-based, and the APEC region is home to almost 3 billion people. It accounts for half of the world's trade, half of the world's economy, 60% of the world's GDP, and the GDP growth rates have generally been higher than the rest of the world for the past 3 decades. So this is a very important region, a strategic region. And in this region, similar to, of course, Nigeria uh, and the has in Africa, the construction industry is the prime mover of economic development because it contributes substantially to employment opportunities, investments, revenue, and GDP. And at the same time, it has a profound impact on social development, on comfort, connectivity, education, entertainment, and necessities. So, regardless of all the issues related to the construction industry, of course, the construction industry will still continue to grow, whether we like it or not. Is compulsory for the construction industry to grow as long as there is people, there will be economy, there will be society, so there will be construction. And the negative side is it has adverse environmental impact. It is indeed the single largest global consumer of resources. So that's the construction industry's contribution. And it consumes energy, land, materials, and water at extremely high rates, contributing 50% of the global resource consumption, 63% of the material resource consumption. And the concern is in the future, the consumption of the resources is going to continue to increase because we anticipate the demand to increase. Why? Because of the global population. It is projected to increase to 8.55 billion by 2030. Of course, there are also regions where the population is declining, but I'm referring to population at a global scale. If things continue as usual, we expect the population to continue to increase. And at the same time, the cities, countries, they are developing. So it's natural that we expect the population to move to urban areas. So we expect maybe 60% of the global population to reside in urban areas by 2030. So all this will contribute to the demand for resources to manufacture construction materials to escalate because it is needed to support the growth in not only urbanization, but also urban redevelopment. And the construction industry, on top of consuming resources, as of now, we are also we have a low efficiency in utilizing the resource. Therefore, we have a high resource consumption rate, but at the same time, we have a high waste generation rate. So not only we are using a lot of resource, but we are very low in efficiency in utilizing the resource. And the waste generation from the industry contributes to more than a third of the global waste generation. And the global generation rate of the industry is over 10 billion tons per year. And this waste, the issues is disposal because we are depending on landfills and also we also incinerate waste and that incineration leads to pollution. Of course, there is one country in the APEC region, a small country called Singapore. They are a very small country and because of that they have a very low amount of landfill and they are very proactive in trying to transition to a circular economy because they don't want to be dependent on the landfills. And also, there are also illegal dumping going on, and that leads to health and safety issues. So the construction industry uh, is currently and has been for a very long time adopting a linear economy, which is a take, make, use, dispose, and waste approach. And this is ingrained in the industry. So in many countries, this is a habit or a practice that's been going on for a very long time. And the reality is it's not going to be easy to change from a linear to a circular economy. So the materials are designed, manufactured, and assembled for one-time use. And in the APAC region, um, the economies contribute to around 43% of the global solid waste in 2016, and out of this solid waste, 59% was mismanaged, and 66% of it are from developing economies. And the daily solid waste generation per capita in the developing economies has been projected to further increase by 46% between 2016 and 2050. So there needs to be an approach that involves the collaboration between the construction industry and also other sectors that contribute to solid waste generation. And solid waste generation, these are some data from APEC countries, Australia being the country with the highest annual generation and Singapore being the least. Of course, there are many factors that contribute to this. We cannot simply imply that because the solid waste generation is high, that they are not managing it well. It doesn't mean that way. There are other factors, could be the, the level of development of that country, whether it's developed or developing, the population. But these are some data on that solid waste generation. Also daily solid waste generation per capita. And I also looked at recycling rates of the solid waste. So Chinese Taipei has the highest recycling rate, followed by Australia and Singapore, and then the other developing countries, mainly Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So the rates range between 50 to 75%. So there is a need to shift towards a circular economy because of the issues in relation to the resources and the waste of these resources. So circular economy is the solution that addresses all drawbacks of the linear economy. It is an approach that is restorative and regenerative by design. So the aim of this approach is to not only reduce waste and pollution, but we want to eliminate. Of course, that is a big ask. We can have more discussions on that and on the challenges of that. But the aim is that we want to eliminate waste and pollution. We want to circulate products and materials at their highest values. This is also one of the issues when we recycle materials. Usually, the materials will reduce in value. And there is an issue because if it keeps reducing, then we won't be able to circulate the products forever. So eventually it will not be a circular economy. So the challenge is how do we not just recycle, but we upcycle. So you recycle, but then the recycled product has a higher value than what it was before. So that is a challenge. So ultimately, we want materials to never become waste and are kept in circulation. So this circular economy concept was pioneered by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and this is a very famous diagram uh, depicting the concept of a circular economy. It's called the butterfly diagram. And to give you a more simple understanding, is the difference is uh, with linear recycling and circular economy is with a recycling economy, you recycle, but eventually it will ultimately lead to disposal of waste because of, again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the recycled products tend to be downcycled. So what we want is a circular economy where we upcycle the products so that we can circulate it forever. Of course, another approach, if you look at it, is maybe we want to consider, for example, in like countries like Japan, they have also now buildings that are modular. They call it modular, where you have kind of like boxes and boxes shaped buildings, and they assemble and they disassemble, and then they transport somewhere else. They assemble somewhere else, and then the materials, they are not actually given to the clients or consumers. Is leased, is rented. So you rent the materials, you assemble a building, and then you disassemble, you return back to the service provider, and then you create more buildings. That is one approach that you can adopt to facilitate the circular economy transition prior to talking about recycling waste. So there are a lot of stages or maybe parts of the circular economy transition that we have to work on, not only materials, but I understand perhaps later at the end of the presentation, we can narrow down the discussion to perhaps concrete and cement. There are a lot of interesting stuff that we can discuss with regard to that, especially in the context of the Nigerian construction industry. So it is a systematic shift of the economy with the aim of ultimately eliminating waste disposal through material circularity. And APEC leaders had a meeting in 2014. This was when the concept of the circular economy was mentioned first. And it was part of a new economy. And this is in line with the SDG goals 8 and 12. As part of the APEC work, I conducted a mini survey, and this project is still ongoing. There are subsequent surveys, subsequent forums, but I just share with you a little bit of the findings of this survey. The data for this survey is actually open access. You can refer to the APEC website. There is the publication page, and you can see my report. Or perhaps later I can just share you some kind of link or email perhaps. I saw just now one of your participants requested for my email. I'll reveal the email at the end of the presentation. So this survey, there was more than 100 respondents from different construction industry stakeholders, different levels of experience, different age ranges, and different experience with regard to construction industry in general, as well as specifically on circular economy. So a wide range of respondents. So what I tried to look at is, I wanted to know what is the current level of implementation of efforts within the organization of the respondents at present. So, and then I broke down the answers to developing circular economy strategies, developing business models based on the circular economy, training employees to adopt the circular economy, as well as working with the supply chain to adopt circular economy. So in general, there is some implementation, but it's very elementary. And I also tried to look at the kind of the knowledge level or the awareness level, or even their appreciation towards circular economy. And in general, the knowledge level is less than 60% of the respondents have a very low level of knowledge on circular economy. So actually the level of knowledge is low, and the awareness is low, but also their appreciation. What I mean by appreciation is how supportive they are of this transition. Less than 60% support such a transition. So there is one challenge that we need to address. Meaning, among these stakeholders, how do we increase the knowledge level, the awareness, and the appreciation? Also, they agree on all the challenges, regards to awareness and understanding of circular economy. Most of them agree that it's highly important. Lack of awareness of circular economy within the organization, the supply chain, the understanding, the lack of interest, even they are aware, so they agree that it's important. And also the business challenges. I'll go through this a bit quicker, but you have the idea. They see the importance, also economic challenges. What I wanted to highlight is this. So the waste types that have a significant impact on construction and demolition waste generation, where construction and demolition waste is one of the components of solid waste. Concrete is number one. So this is the material that if we are to focus on, this is the one that we should focus more on, trying to find a way of how to adopt recycled materials or waste materials in concrete, and also reusing the concrete or circulating the concrete. So the impact and the types that are only valorized, the percentage of construction materials that ends up as construction and demolition waste. So I've looked at all this, and I also looked at the construction materials that can be manufactured from waste. So bricks, and again, cement and concrete is at the top. But there is one thing that I wanted to highlight, but the other one is not just looking at the bricks and cement and concrete, but also to show you that there is a wide range of materials that can be manufactured from waste. So not only a few materials such as bricks, concrete, wood, or steel, but all these materials they can be manufactured from waste. But of course, if we talk to perhaps the common construction industry stakeholders, maybe they are not so aware of the latest technologies. But if we talk about this to researchers, the ones working on the solutions in detail, in depth, there are a lot of studies, research being done on all these materials and their potential of being manufactured from waste. So the importance, most of them agree all these different aspects with regard to valorization of waste are important. Okay, so that's all about the survey. We can talk more about that perhaps in the discussion session. So I wanted to talk about industrial symbiosis. So this is a concept pioneered by the industrial park in Kalundborg, Denmark. So basically is where you strategically place all these different facilities, companies, doesn't matter what type, it could be farms, cement industry, wastewater, you strategically place them close to each other and you exchange your input and outputs in support of the circular economy. So this is one of the solutions that will facilitate the transition to circular economy. There's also like another example in Kwinana, Australia, Clean Tech Park, Singapore, and from the project that I was involved in, I developed a draft framework that links between the agricultural and manufacturing industries together with municipal and industrial consumption with the construction industry as well as the manufacture of construction materials. So this framework shows how the waste is collected and classified, segregated, and valorized, and manufacture construction materials from those waste, and then you use it in the construction industry, and the industry generates waste, then you collect it again, and you classify it again, and you segregate, and you valorize, and you can use it as a input for the construction industry again, or maybe back to the agricultural and manufacturing industry. So in facilitating this framework, you have to have an industrial symbiosis network of organizations from the agricultural industry, manufacturing industry, as well as the construction and waste management industries. And the synergy among the organizations Concurrently, we aim to eliminate solid waste disposal to fulfill the resource demand of the construction industry, as well as preventing resource depletion. So the conclusion is, I mentioned about the annual solid waste generation from the APEC countries, the values of daily solid waste generation per capita, recycling rates, and the industrial symbiosis approach presents an opportunity to maximize the recycling rates as a result of adopting a circular economy. And with regard to adopting circular economy, I looked at the level of implementation. I tried to understand the awareness of the stakeholders on how important the different aspects are, the challenges, and they are aware of the importance. But then, in general, what I'm trying to say is the awareness is there, the initial implementation is there, but it's very elementary, at least for the APEC economies. And most of them, they have awareness, but they also lack, how do I say, interest, or they are still very much used to the linear economy. Of course, there are also perhaps other challenges, maybe with regard to business, with regard to training people to know how to adopt the skills required for circular economy, and also for the valorization of waste material. Although we see that concrete and cement is the number one material in the industry that we have to focus on in transitioning to the circular economy, we need to see how concrete can be produced in a different way, adopting waste in producing concrete, and also after using concrete, using the waste from that concrete to circulate the material. That is one. But also I highlighted how there is a wide range of materials that can be valorized. And this is my current affiliation. I'm an engineering and technical manager for NextGen Carbon Solutions, based in Houston, Texas, US. And this is my email address. So as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, I tried to do some reading just now before the talk on the latest developments in the Nigerian construction industry. But I have to admit, I consider myself a beginner in that. So perhaps later, maybe some of you can enlighten me on how this approach is perhaps already started in Nigeria, or maybe there are specific challenges that is in Nigeria that is not in these countries. Perhaps maybe with regard to your the local availability of materials, or maybe other issues, I'm not sure, maybe policies, maybe transportation of the materials from one place to another, or maybe to do with cultural people. Hopefully from this session, before I pass to the moderator, I not only I can address some of your inquiries, but perhaps I also can learn more about what's going on in the Nigerian construction industry. And I think perhaps I can end the session there. I pass the stage back to our Honorable Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farhan, for this wonderful presentation. I think we have about 20 minutes for question and answer and comments. So we are just going to run straight to it. Please use the reaction, the React tool that's available on the Zoom to indicate if you want to make comments. So we'll really run quickly, and if people keep comments low, short, we will be able to cover up, because we've got to leave at 12 o'clock or about 5 minutes after 12. So let's take the first from Akim Rahim. Your hand, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, the organizer. Let me use the opportunity to thank the organizer as well as the presenter. So we hope more of this will come in future. My question to the presenter. In the course of presentation, you talked about the circular economy. So, and this has to do with some of the things that we do and we convert from production in such a way that we want to have zero waste. So I was expecting to see where some of these waste products that you highlighted in your table, where they could be used in the construction industry. For example, we are aware that where you have a waste product like rice husk ash or corn cob ash, we have been able to make sure they are being used as partial replacement for cement and concrete. So I was expecting that in the course of your work, you also tell us how some of the waste products generated within Asia are being used and for what purpose they are being used. And probably give us some of the benefits that are derivable from this waste product. Thank you very much. That's my question.
Thank you. I think there's a far up, so you may have to attempt.
Moderator, I suggest that we take note of all those questions, and when it is a few minutes to 12, then we can give him the opportunity to respond to those questions.
The thing is, I have looked through and there is no other hand up. That's why instead of just waiting, I thought you should respond.
Exactly.
Can we indicate if there are more hands up? If there are more hands up, let's indicate, please. Any comments or questions?
Yes, I have. Let me quickly make comment here. I think there's a on the chat. I think it was from Dr. Abiola that made mention that is there a possibility that we also replicate this type of studies that Dr. Farhan and his team did? Is it possible for us to replicate that? And I want to ask Dr. Farhan that will his team be available or to give us some necessary support should in case we have a need for such support?
Well, even though previously I was in EPEC and now I'm the NextGen. And NextGen is also consultancy and research. But of course, as a researcher, I'm always open to collaboration and cross-sector collaboration, also cross-country collaboration. And I can see how this study can be implemented in the Nigerian construction industry. I believe perhaps in the Nigerian construction industry, you have, I give an example, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava, something like that, cassava, you have like a cassava plant and a cassava peel. There is, for an example of how the materials are different for Nigeria as compared to the APEC countries. So we can replicate the kind of the same study for the Nigerian construction industry based on perhaps local materials, also local challenges. I'm not sure also how about the transportation, transportation for materials from one place to another for industrial symbiosis. Is that a challenge in Nigeria? There's also one thing that can be explored.
I guess Akim, that answers the question. Dr. Lona, reading some from the chat box. Is there?
There is a question here from the chat box.
Dr. Farhan, can you make some comments about the implementation of a similar study in the Nigerian construction industry? I mean, if you want to use a case study as... Yes, can we have it? Can we have it, please?
Or the...
Dr. Olonade, can we have the question from the chat box? Okay, there's a question from Rashid Abdul Wahab. He's saying, does it mean that no waste are generated in linear economy system? If yes, how realistic is it? Give practical instances.
The linear economy. Linear economy is the economy that has been practiced in the construction industry for many years. So that is the current situation, the linear economy. So this linear economy, it generates a lot of waste. So the conversation that is being held here in this presentation, and also among the APEC countries, also researchers within circular economy, is trying to transition the linear economy to a circular economy. So meaning all these waste, we need to find ways how do we treat the waste or change the form of the waste into a material that we can reuse again, either in the construction industry or perhaps in other industries such as manufacturing or agricultural industry. Of course, if there is a limitation in modifying that waste into a usable material, the issue could be before that, meaning in the construction industry, the way we build buildings, how do we build the buildings in a way that when the waste is generated, that waste can easily be circulated. As I mentioned in this presentation, I gave an example of the modular construction in Japan, also in the Philippines, and also some parts of Malaysia, where they try to adopt a construction that is modular, meaning you have parts of the modular system like a Lego, and you assemble. You bring one part, you assemble, you bring another part, you assemble, and you disassemble, then you release it. There is no waste, or maybe there is. So that is what we mean by the circular economy. I mean, we are attempting to change or transition from the linear to the circular economy, where in this circular economy, the aim is to eliminate waste.
Okay, there's another hand from Rauf Hassan. Please, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, yeah, thanks everyone for the program. Yeah, I have a quick question, maybe to the presenter or maybe to the screen body in general. Because I know when we are talking about circular economy, it also has to do with us having enough data about the kind of materials we want to perhaps recycle. For example, in my own case, I'm working with recycled aggregate. And the focus of my research has to do with Africa, but unfortunately, we don't even have a concrete data that tells us the amount of construction waste we are generating, even precisely in Nigeria, if I want to use Nigeria as a case study. So maybe to the presenter now, is there any way you think we can turn around this process of gathering data, and or maybe to the members of the association, do we have an existing platform where we can only get data from that has to do with the construction industry, precisely in Nigeria or Africa?
Mr. Joseph, I'm sorry, I tried my best to absorb what our respected listener was asking, but I couldn't pick up the words. Maybe you can kind of summarize that question and reshape it in a way that I can better understand. What was he asking?
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, please Dr. Hassan, can you please recap a bit?
Okay, so I'm asking that maybe to the presenter or even to this to screen body in general, because if we are talking about circular economy, it has to do with us having enough data that has to do with our waste generation so that we know the amount of waste we generate and how we want to recycle them. Then I use myself as a case study because my research has to do with construction and demolition waste with a target in Africa or Nigeria precisely. But unfortunately, I can't even find a record of the amount of construction and demolition waste we generate in order to even justify the need for that research. So I'm asking that, is there a way we can go about this from the experience of the presenter or even to screen body in general? Do you have or do we have a platform that guides us through, having the data? Of course, generally, I know data is more like a problem at the moment in Africa, but is there anything we are doing consciously, or is there any platform for us as maybe Nigerians or in Africa generally where we can find this information to back up some of our researches?
Okay, now I understand. Now I hear the question clearly. Thank you to the commenter. I'm not sure for Africa and for Nigeria specifically. Perhaps one of the researchers here can highlight. But yes, that is one of the things that we have to work on. That is one of the if I were to recommend research direction for this area, that is what we need. We need more data. We need data to be compiled in a way that is comprehensive and people can access the data, and then from there that will accelerate the process of doing more research or establishing more collaborations. Yes, that is needed, but I'm not sure for the African for the context of the African region or Nigeria. Perhaps someone can highlight if you have such a website or platform for the African region.
Well, even from your presentation, the whole concept of circular economy is fairly new, even to the world. You mentioned, I think, 2014 or so when the concept was first mentioned. So generally, it's a new trend, it's a new direction for researchers. So already he has acknowledged that some of the challenges that we have in Africa, even beyond the topic under discussion, is lack of data. So studies like this will prompt us into commissioning further studies that may now be looking at probably accounting for data on waste from construction and so on. So the essence of this kind of gathering always is to trigger further, need for us to, get into research. So this has opened up, I may say, maybe another very necessary research that we can champion or we can support people to embark on. But truly, as he has observed, the issue of data will be a big challenge to fully adopting circular economy in most African countries. So, so this is a matter that Screen executive body will need to discuss to see whether we can consciously take certain decisions about how to institute studies in this direction. So any further comments?
Yes, to really corroborate what the Publicity Secretary of Screen has mentioned, that is Dr. Joseph Upata. I think this is one of the major goals of Screen, is to look into those areas where we are having, maybe we are lacking in form of data, especially that is related to cement and concrete and allied materials. So we also have a mechanism for that. We encourage members to develop a technical proposal. So we form a technical committee that could also look into most of these challenges that we have here. So maybe I can only stop here while Dr. Abiola Adebanjo make comments.
Okay, please, Dr. Adebanjo, come up with your comments. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, the moderator, Dr. Joseph Opata, and the president of Screen. Coincidentally, I was a part of Dr. Fahan's team, and what we really found out during the study was that much of what we need to do about circular economy depends so much on data. And not just that, one of the countries in which we looked up to during the study, I can't remember if it's Denmark or Norway, we realized that they have a system in place that actually gives an overview of the data in terms of waste coming from each sector, such that if you need a waste from, let's say, the construction industry that you need to incorporate into your mix, for instance, maybe in concrete mix, there is a particular database you just go to, and they could actually supply those things to you. So I think, just to round up, basically, the concept of industrial symbiosis is to make sure that the waste generated across the industries are well utilized. And for we to do this in Nigeria, I think we need to have a robust database. What is coming from the agricultural industry in terms of waste? What can we get from maybe the manufacturing industry in terms of waste? If we know this, it's going to really help us to drive the change that we desire in circular economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think that's a wonderful summary of the whole essence of this presentation. Dr. Yusuf, can you quickly make your comments?
Yeah, just very briefly. Mine, first of all, to appreciate the presenter. Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Said, and also the EXCO for bringing this to us. I would just like to suggest, I know some members have asked this in one form or the other, but I'm sure there are collaborative projects from your group and association that you think would benefit us in Nigeria. So if it would be nice, moving forward, anything Dr. Said that you think either we can do independently or do collaboratively, it helps our own personal growth and development as well. Because we are doing a lot, but we can benefit from a synergy of cooperation and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Farhan, I guess you've noted that. He's asking for possibility for collaboration, to extend some of these discussions here.
Sure.
Okay, we can't find any hand. Sorry, okay, carry on, please.
Sure, I'm very open to the collaborations. Of course, as researchers, we are always trying to learn and also to expand our knowledge, not just with regard to the technical side, but also expanding from the different countries. Because as I mentioned previously, based on most of the discussions that I've had on all of the different circular economy enablers, the main challenge is actually the difference in the kind of the culture or the people or the thinking from that country. There are a lot of things that relate to the specific countries' lifestyle or the way the people live that affects this. As I mentioned, I was comparing how Japan, or Singapore, or Malaysia widen the adoption of certain aspects of circular economy and how that refers to Malaysia. So yes, of course, for research, collaborating with Nigeria is something that will of mutual benefit for us, for myself, and also for Screen as well, and for you as well.
thank you very much. I think there's always opportunity for us to discuss further. We're going to call it a day today. This is a series, is a quarterly event. So I will urge participants to look forward to future, webinars. And secondly, there's a platform for those who are involved in the practice or research in cement and concrete and allied materials. So you can get in touch with us and we will add you to the platform. So even in the sense of collaboration or future or further discussions in relation to this, we can explore from those channels. So we will need to call it a day, but not before I very specially thank Dr. Farhan for this wonderful, concise presentation, which is touching on the very core of what is happening in the world, across the world today. We cannot continue to be using resources wastefully without thinking of the future. So it sits very well on some of the core objectives of SCREEN, which has to do with sustainability of our resources. So I want to thank you very sincerely and pray that when next we have the need to call on you, you will oblige us. And I want to thank everyone who has participated, because if he was here to present and we didn't show up, it won't work. He can't present to himself what he already has. So I want to thank everyone who has participated. We're about 70 at the point. So please, let's continue the discussions on other platforms. Thank you, Olonade, who has been very, very up and doing to making sure that all of this happens. I thank everyone again. Finally, we have to call it a day at this point. Thank you. And bye-bye.
Somebody suggested we put on picture, then we have a screenshot. Let us put on our camera, and then we have a screenshot. Dr. Adebanjo, please take it, please, for us.
Sorry, sir. I'm not with my system here. I'm on the phone.
I will do it.
Dr. Kwata, will you take it?
Let me do. Okay, I have 3 pages here, so I'm going to do it one after another. Okay. Yeah. So I'll do it.
Dr. Tijani will also do it, please. Okay. Please let us turn our camera.
Yes. Yes, I have taken the first page. If you can just remain, please. I'm taking the first page. I have 3 pages on my screen, so let me go through them. The second is also taken. Finally, the third. Oh, the third. A lot of people here are not putting on their videos. Can you open your videos up, please? Can you unmute your videos, please, so that we can take this? Anyway, I'll take it. Just take it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey. Okay, thank you. All right, have
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Wonderful day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.